Well, after a few years, I can finally say it's time to get some stuff done on the K25. Although there's a number of places that I could start, like this hydraulic line for the clutch, or this wiring for the oil pressure switch, or any of the wiring really. Some of it I'm guilty of before knowing any better, or when I had no money to spend on it, and some of it I've just left because that's the way I got it. Regardless, I'm going to start with this 3236 carburetor. So as I said, this carb came on the car when I bought it, and if you follow any of my social media, you'll know that the adapter plate that was on it was not very good. That led me to designing and 3D printing a new one, which I will go into, but it's not the focus of this video. As you can see, this carby's got quite a build-up of gunk and dirt. You can see where there's been some fuel leaking out of the top of the bowl there, and just generally it needs some love. I have ordered a new gasket / service kit, as well as the main culprit for my overfueling issues, which was this accelerator pump. And funnily enough, for all the people telling me how 3D printed parts won't hold up in the engine, this little guy's been holding the choke cable on the car since 2015, but what would I know? So it's been a little while, but I'm finally ready to make some progress on the K25. If you follow any of my social media, you would have seen that I've set up the ultrasonic and given it a bit of a test, and now it's time to put the big boy parts in. I'm really keen to see how these come out because the test piece was amazing. I feel like I'm on a cooking show. Right. Americans aren't going to get that one. I'm going to do a 50-50 ratio between demineralized water and plain white vinegar. I don't know exactly how much I'm going to need here. And I reckon we'll start with a litre of each. Probably too much. It's too much. Damn it. Oh my god. 500. Amazing. Should have just stayed with a litre. Right. Well, that was fun. Let's chuck it in. And we're back to the nice microphone. The default setting for the temperature on this ultrasonic is 47 degrees Celsius. I'm not really sure why, and I didn't really like it, so I rounded it up to 50 degrees. The temperature is kind of arbitrary, so once I got close enough, it was time to put the parts in. And I couldn't believe that it actually sounds like a cartoon static effect. Pretty cool to look at, but I'll put the lid back on to keep the heat in and come back a couple of minutes later. As you can see, it's already doing the trick and infinitely better than when I started. There's still some residue in the more built up areas as I thought there might be, and it looks like some of the zinc has come off as well, which I also thought might happen. But it already seemed like it had thinned out a fair bit anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. I am, however, a little bit wary to leave it in there too long with the high acidity of the vinegar solution, so I'll put it back in for a short while, pull it back out, and we'll reassess. That has come out really well. I did just run it under the tap so that I can neutralize the acid, the vinegar, and make sure it doesn't eat away at any more of the zinc. You can see there that I'm pretty sure that these were zinc coated, but they must have been pretty worn already because it wasn't in there for very long. It was only in there for about 5.5 minutes. This is fine, so it obviously had a bit of a thicker coating on there. I'm pretty sure they're not brass. I'm pretty sure that is zinc coated. For the most part, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I reckon I'm still just going to give it a run over with the carby cleaner and the soft bristled brush so that I don't have to leave it in there for too much longer, but overall, for what that is, pretty happy. What? So that sucked. This was actually Pyrex glass, which is baked glass, which isn't what you're meant to be able to use in an ultrasonic. The only thing I can assume is perhaps there was already an imperfection in the bowl. Maybe the way the carby was resting on there caused some damage to the bowl, or maybe the heat difference because the top of the bowl was outside of the water whereas the bottom was inside, and then the weight of the water separated it. Either way, it's broken. Of all the things that I thought could happen today, that is not really one of them. Like an art piece or something, I guess, but I guess that throws my idea out the window about keeping the water relatively clean within the ultrasonic. For smaller parts, I guess it'll be okay. The smaller bowls seem to be alright, and I've got some other glass jars that hopefully will be okay. This main body of the carby is just too big, so I'm just going to have to chuck it in and see how it goes. So in the ultrasonic already, I think I've got around 10 or so litres. I reckon that's about 500 mils left within this. I reckon I'm just going to try a smaller ratio, so see how it goes. So you can see here that the lower ratio worked more or less the same. I reckon if there was a little bit more vinegar in there, it may have worked a little bit better, but overall I'm pretty happy with how it went. I put it back in for a little bit longer to soften up those last little bits and pieces, and I think that's about as well as it's going to do. Well, about as much as I'm willing to risk with the vinegar. There are solutions that are specifically designed for cleaning carbies, however I wanted to see how the vinegar would go, and overall I'd definitely say it was a success. Just went and ran this one under the tap as well. But overall, considering how gunked up this was, pretty excessive. You can see where there's still a build-up of it, but it's actually quite soft. So I reckon I'm going to hit this with the carby cleaner, a brush and a pick, see what else I can get off it, chuck it back in maybe for another couple of minutes, and I reckon that'll do it. Well, there we go. I can honestly say they came out a lot better than what I thought they would. I did expect them to be clean, obviously, but just wow, they look practically brand new. It does, however, make the parts that are not that clean or a little bit worn stand out a fair bit more, like this spring here. But that's easily fixed, and I didn't want to go overboard ordering parts when I wasn't entirely sure what I'd need to replace. So next up will be a rebuild with the gasket kit, and I'll probably need to order a few more bits and pieces that I haven't yet got. And it's also time to finish off this adapter plate that I've made. But before I can do that, I'm going to have to clean this lathe. And probably do something about this tooling setup while I'm at it. Thanks again for watching. As always, any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.